So, hello and welcome to this, what do we call it again? Yeah, we call it Business Without Tears sessions for now. Business Without Tears. And it's presented by a conscious business community. My name is Jonas Freeman, and I'm a part of this conscious business community. I'm a mindfulness coach and conscious business philosopher, you might say. And this conscious business community is pretty much a place where we just support each other in doing business in a different way than the old paradigm of business. And today I'm very excited. We have Shanti here on this pilot, the first Business Without Tears session. Shanti is the creative chef and co-founder at Alchemy. Alchemy, who is today one of the most famous raw food restaurants in the world, actually. So excited about that. And I remember when I first came to Ubud in Bali, and of course I did like everyone else. I went to Alchemy. I had my breakfast and lunch, and I think I saw you back then. Yeah, I didn't know you were Shanti or co-founder, but I understood you had something to do with the place. And you strike me back then as kind of a shy person, and much into the kitchen, actually. Kitchen and food and stuff. And still this was a place where some of the more prominent and famous people within food and health came. They came and ate in your restaurant. And you didn't strike me as this, entrepreneur or businesswoman who attracted these things and built this place where this beautiful food can be shared. But now, getting to know you a bit, and now you're also a part of this conscious business community, I get to know you a little bit, and you strike me as kind of a shy, not that typical entrepreneur businesswoman. So it's the same.
Yeah.
And that's marvelous, I think. That makes it very interesting for me, because I think many of us have this idea of how a successful business owner or entrepreneur is, and you're just not that. And still things are happening, and you share a beautiful gift with the whole world. So that made me curious about this. So maybe you can start by just sharing, how did this come into your life, this thing with food and health, and why was that important for you?
Well, I've been a vegetarian for most of my life, and always had a passion for food and cooking. And I had the freedom when I was a child to experiment in the kitchen and to try out different recipes and make a mess as long as I cleaned it up afterwards. So, and I heard about something called raw food, but it seemed a little bit, because I loved cooking so much and baking, and I thought raw food is just about salad and carrots, and then I took a course and I realized you can make all kinds of amazing cakes and pasta and all kinds of things that are raw. And it made sense to me that when you heat ingredients, then they lose life force and they lose nutrition. So that's when I really got into raw food. And I was already a chef. Yeah, so I'm a classically trained chef, and I used to work in classical restaurants, upscale restaurants. And so when I got interested in raw food, it was like I just used my previous experience of being a chef and added the raw food aspect to that.
How was that, working as a traditional chef compared to now working with your own restaurant?
Well, I had a life that was where for a long time I went from different jobs. I didn't always work as a chef, and I went from I was used to having a job that you counted the hours and like hoping that time went quickly so you could go home and have a good time and or you know, waited for the weekend to come so that I can enjoy my life, and then feeling bad on Sunday Eve because I don't want to go to work on Monday morning. And so I was that was my idea of how a job is. You live for the vacation, and that's what I was doing. So that was yeah. Then when I did have a passion for food, but when I worked in the when I started working as a chef in these upscale places, it was expected that, you know, if you are accepted into this really fancy restaurant, you have to take a bit of, you know, people being, you have to take crap from people, basically. Yeah, because you have to show you that you can be strong and that you belong here, and if you can't take it, then you're not, you know, you can. So yeah, because that's how the hierarchy of the restaurant kitchen worked. You start lowest, and then you climb your way up the ladder of hierarchy. And if you become on the top, then you start to be mean to the people on the bottom. That's how it works. You take crap, and then you give crap.
Finally. Yeah.
And,
anyone recognize that?
And like, there was one guy who his job was to walk around and yell at people because he was at the top of the hierarchy. And I was still loving to make food, but it was to the point where I thought, I can't work in a restaurant. I have to either just do this at home, just make food at home and enjoy it and have a nice time, or I have to open my own restaurant, and I have to create the kind of kitchen that where my passion for food can actually thrive and not be
yeah, let's get back to that, building your own kitchen to provide something that is lacking in today's restaurant world, or back then. But how was the food, you know, being a traditional trained chef and a bit aware about health and those kind of things? What was your ideas about food back then?
This was a restaurant, or these restaurants had nothing to do with health. So I was just I thought it was good for me to learn everything, like from the start. How do you make mainstream food? So I just put my interest of health aside and just focused on learning that way. So I was making things with meat even, and yeah, at that time.
Okay, so let's get back to this kitchen and how did this transition happen when you get a bit fed up? Okay, this is not the environment that I can really thrive and be happy and be creative with what you were passionate about. So what was the steps to get out of there, or what happened?
Well, for most people, when they have kids, they think that their career is on hold and they cannot travel anymore. But that was not the case for me. It was actually when I had my children, that's when my career started, and that's when I moved from Sweden to Bali. And so it was it wasn't that I knew when I came here that I was gonna, before I came here, that I was gonna open a restaurant. And I just came here first to see if this was a nice place to live, and then found my interest of raw food here. And then I found some other people who also had the same interest, and so we decided to open this cafe together. And it was a group of 5 people from 4 different countries, and we all just had this same interest in health and raw food. And one of them had been he had been healed. He was dying, and he had been healed by raw food. And he's the one who came up with the idea we should open a restaurant with this kind of food. And we kind of complemented each other, so that the other people were good at the things that I was not good at. So it was it started very effortlessly for me, in that sense, that everybody brought what they were good at. And
so how did it look like in the beginning, you know, this cafe of yours?
Oh, it was a garage.
Okay.
Yeah, it was absolutely needed so much work. It was not just a garage, but it was falling apart garage. So we had to paint and fix everything, and it was very small. The place only had space for a juice bar and the refrigerator. And my partners had counted on me that I was going to provide the chocolate and the cakes. And I was really nervous because I was so new to raw food. I didn't really have experience, and I thought, oh, am I really going to pull this off? But I didn't tell anybody. I was like, yeah, I can do this. And then I was like, I have no experience with raw chocolate. I knew I could make cakes, but the chocolate I wasn't sure about. So yeah, I was really nervous about that. And I was at home, like doing all kinds of different experimenting with chocolate. And then I got the chewy bar recipe, and I tasted it. I was like, okay, this is it. I did it. And yeah, so from then on, I had the confidence. Okay, because that chewy bar became like one of our most best-selling recipes. It's still going strong, and so then I felt more confident, and I could continue. But it was like I said, it was a garage, and we didn't have any. We didn't have a kitchen there, so I had to make everything in my own house, and on my motorbike, transport it from my house to. I was living on the other side of town from Alchemy, so I had to go across town with this, like going there with a bunch of chocolate and cakes, and coming back with a lot of ingredients. So it's a lot of back and forth.
So what was the most amount of cakes that you had on a motorbike? Let me hear. Is this...
I think it was like between 7 and 10 cakes.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was like I was so happy because people were liking the things that we were making, and I couldn't believe it. Like, this is so fun. I get to be in a tropical country, and I get to do what I love, and people are liking it, and it just kept growing organically. So it wasn't like a huge investment from the beginning. It was just that we started very small and grew very fast, and just kept taking the next step and the next step. And so yeah, it was a lot of hustling back and forth on the motorbike before we had the idea that maybe we can afford to hire somebody to do the deliveries. But I remember also that when I was making all this food, my house didn't have enough electrical power to support 2 dehydrators going at the same time, and as the blender, and so the electricity kept running out, and it was a constant, like, bit crazy, but it was so fun. And I was happy as long as people enjoyed what I was doing. And also, I really didn't have any expectations that I was going to have an income. I was living off of savings, and I didn't expect that I'll do this so I can get a salary. I just did it because I loved it. And then I thought, I hope I'll make enough money so I can be able to stay in this beautiful paradise. And yeah.
And how did it come to be also food, not just a cafe with the cakes and juice? How did that happen?
Well, people were asking us. We always just responded to what people were asking. So if somebody was allergic, then we made a special chocolate for them. And so people came in and asked for food. And then we found a way to expand, so we could get a kitchen on the location, and so then we could start making food.
What kind of food did you do?
We were, as we had been working there, we had been eating salads. We had been making salads for ourselves for our lunch, and so we just made the exact same thing that we were eating for lunch. And and so that's how I always continued when I put new things on the menu. I was always thinking, like, what do I want to eat, and what do my kids like, and things like that. So that was I think it worked for it worked.
Okay. And now, what's happening now?
Now we are. We're having another baby. Alchemy is having a baby. It's a cooking school, a raw food school, and a vegan cooking school. And we're opening in the end of March, and we are it's going to be classes for people who want inspiration on how to eat more healthy food and how to prepare more healthy food at home. And it's also for those who want to open their own restaurant and become a certified raw food chef. And it's also going to be things like meditation and conscious business, and we're having
have some
yoga.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, we've got some fun stuff going on.
Yeah. Some dancing also.
Belly dance.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And we'll have for people who want to learn how to use a knife skills in the kitchen. We have a really amazing professional chef who's going to be teaching those kinds of things and how it really works in a restaurant kitchen.
So can you come? Is there courses, or can you come just for that, for example, that class? Or how does it work?
you can come just for that class, and then you can also come for a full certification course.
Interesting. So this is within the context of, we support each other, to do a different kind of business than what the old paradigm offers, maybe, who is quite firmly associated with what you started out talking about, this hierarchy, for example, like not so very healthy organization and leaderships. And And also, you know, one of the biggest trends today in society is stress, and that pressure that we put on ourselves for some reason. No one really knows, but it seems to be there. And can be done in a different way. And one of the things that inspired me very much with you was this smile of yours. And that smiles tells me so much. You know, it's been there for these years. I've been here in Ubud, Bali, and I know that also the restaurant, you know, they have their, you know, their challenges and things, but there's always been this smile, and yeah, it feels very light when you talk about these things. And now you built another huge, you know, Alchemy Academy, and still you're smiling. And since I, you know, coached so many CEOs and entrepreneurs and business owners, you know, I know when you put a lot of effort into something, building something new, you become drained. They're like, that's when they are a mess. And you're just sitting here shining, and you went through what usually is the toughest and most hard, you know, time is the startups, and you're still in it. So I was thinking, you know, I would love to dissect some lessons from this. And you know, let's start with something, for example, what is usually mentioned within business, to have very clear goals and things like that. What is your relationship to goals and aims or intentions?
Well, I think everything I have that I have right now, things like living in a tropical paradise, having access to healthy food, and having a job that I love, and these things are all things that I remember writing down and praying for. At some point, this is what I was asking the universe. This is what I want. So for me, it's been a bit. I cannot believe that the universe really responds to this, but that's how I feel. It's magic. That if you really put down your goal in writing and make a ceremony or something about it, then it really happens. Things, I was doing this with my ex-partner. We were doing ceremonies every day and just stating out loud, this is what we want to have happen. And that's when things started going so well for me. At that point, I didn't have any idea how I was going to stay here in Bali and what I was going to do, what was my job. And I hadn't had a job that I loved in my whole life. And so, yeah, we started doing those ceremonies, and it really changed from then. So, yeah, I think goal setting is really important. I don't know how it's possible. I asked for twins even. So I don't know if that's really because
but you know, many people put up goals and they don't come true. You know, what is the secret behind you know, your goals coming through, you think?
Well, I also remember that I was being grateful a lot for every time when somebody was saying I was doing something I loved, and a lot of people were appreciative. And I was just remember every time I went home from work, I was just focusing on the way back home as I was driving. I was just focusing on my gratitude for the life that I had. And I think that helped. And also being together or having someone else listen to what I want to manifest and support that. Calling in help from another realm, from angels, or I think that's my belief, that it's been a big help for me.
But there's a old part of me that want to ask, but achievement, you know, you put up these goals and you're supposed to achieve it, and make sure those goals come to true. But doesn't seem to be the way you do. What happens? Don't you achieve or do things?
I don't know. I think that it doesn't have to. I think that my goals are in alignment. Like I think that my sometimes, of course, I have a like that I think, oh, I have to make money or things like that as well. But when people find their true calling, it's usually something that's going to help others. And this is something that I really learned from the conscious business coaching, is that you focus on providing a value for someone instead of thinking, oh, how much money am I going to gain? And if you always think, okay, this will bring value to other people, then they want to support you, and then it goes well. And I personally hate selling things, so I think that it's also another valuable insight that I got from the conscious business camp, that I can just create a product that is so good that I never have to sell it. People just like it, and it brings value to them, so they tell other people, and that's what I hope this teaching kitchen will do. But I'm also in that phase right now where it's quite overwhelming and quite scary, because I haven't started yet. I don't know what people are going to think, how is it going to go, and it's always, I know I've been here before. When I started Alchemy, I think, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? And I just know, I know when it comes, it's like, okay, here it comes. And I am just focusing on, okay, what is the next step that I need to do in order to get to the next step. And for example, when I started Alchemy, it was the same thing. I just invested so much and I had no idea what was going to happen. So I think that comes with the territory when you're living your dream life, that you have to go through this you have to have courage to like really yeah. And sometimes you'll think, I wish I didn't have this crazy courage, and I just could be like safe and secure and have a boring job, and yeah. But
well, let's talk about those things that we can call maybe obstacles, when we meet them. Yeah. Have you had any of those?
Yeah, I've had obstacles, like for example, not having enough budget to complete this building, and just having to get by and figure out a way, and just think, okay, I'll ask for support, and it's always worked out. That I've had amazing support. Another thing that I also thought about was that, well, if you have two little babies or toddlers, then maybe it's not the perfect timing to open a business, because it was a bit, it was quite a lot that I was going through at that time when I was just opening Alchemy. Like, what was I thinking? Yeah, the obstacles. It's also, it's a lot of other things that are not so fun when you're opening a business. Maybe like me, I love cooking, but I don't really like paperwork and things like that. So it's important to find people who love that and get some help from them.
And have you experienced some of the other inner obstacles that is common today, like feeling that stress and pressure? Did that happen to you?
Yeah, I do. I do have a lot on my plate, and having to juggle like taking care of my children. And right now, at the moment, I'm in the phase where I'm doing everything myself. So yeah, it can be stressful, but I think I really like, even though it's like going to get the furniture for my place, or it's a lot of different things that I'm doing, but I do like the most of it because it's all towards the goal.
Can you see when you start to create pressure or stress, when it feels heavy to do this and when it feels light?
I remember worrying a lot about the financial situation and having an unsecure future and things like that. Yeah, that's.
And then you felt this stress and pressure and worry.
Yeah.
So what happened then? Because you don't seem very worried now.
No.
And the house is standing here finished.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel I have so much support, and I feel like it's in alignment. So I get support from. I get shown that I'm on the right track in different ways. Like, for example, the neighbors are really supportive and friendly here, and the banjar is happy that I'm here and what we're doing here and things like that. So it's good.
Okay, let's open up and see if there's maybe some questions. So if you have something, you can just unmute your phone. And maybe if someone here live in audience have some questions, you can ask too, and I'll just repeat the questions out loud, and we'll see what comes.
I have a question there.
There's a question from the audience here, so hold your horses on the unmute button.
Yeah. I'd like to know what is exactly specific about the way what you did with this new kitchen that you finally opened for yourself in the restaurant as opposed to how it was before. Something about, I hear there's something that you put in prayers and stuff like that.
Okay, so he wants to know more specific about this kitchen that you had to build from scratch in Indonesia, and how you did that and what was important here, building in this location and also creating a space of your own, coming from that old way of doing kitchens and restaurants.
Right, yeah, because when like I said, when I was in that place, I thought, when I was in Sweden working in those restaurants, I thought I have to either stop working in a restaurant or I have to create my own place where it's where it's a peaceful environment in the kitchen, because I think it's so important that when you're handling other people's food, that it's done with a peaceful environment with good intentions, and that all the people who work there have this same that we're all agreeing on that, and that if they're so I hired, the people that we hired we had this tight group of people who we always encouraged them if they had an issue that they could share it with us, and that we could solve problems. And we also had a lot of the people that we hired, they were staying for a long time. We didn't, as opposed to the front of the house, people were coming and going and quitting. And
what do you mean front of the house?
The waiters and waitresses and people like that were often coming and going. But the kitchen, we stayed really a tight group for a long time, and not many people were leaving. So we're just growing. And it was very, we had an altar in the kitchen, and we would bless the space, and we would bless the food. And I was also participating in that. We would go out and bless the salad bar as well. And we always encourage the people to, if they, to have the same kind of philosophy as us, that you should love your job. And if you want to work in the kitchen, you should be in the kitchen. If you want to be a waiter, you should be there. Or just where do you feel inspired, that's where you should be. And so there was also no hierarchy. We're just all equals, and we were very sure to appreciate every person, even no matter what they were working as. And it was so fun because the Balinese people were so open to this. For example, in Sweden, I don't think I could have had the same thing, and where we were like blessing the space, and they were all having the same thoughts, that it was great to do that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions before we start to sum up this, or? So if you're with us live on Zoom, you can just unmute your phone and speak out if you have any other questions from the supporting audience here. Okay.
I have a question from the Zoom room. Shanti, I was curious if you had this bigger vision. Like, obviously it all organically unfolded, but do you feel like you had this vision that would keep growing and expanding in the way that it has?
Can you say that again?
Oh, you didn't hear me?
No, I heard you, but what is the question?
Whether Shanti had the vision, like whether she held this vision, or it was just keeping in the moment, being present and letting it unfold, or whether she had a bigger vision.
Okay, so she asked if you had this vision from before and how this unfolds, or if it's unfolded, by hand after working with it. Did you have a clear vision, or is that a correct interpretation? Yeah. Okay.
When I first came here, I had no idea. When I first came to Bali, I had no idea that I was going to open a restaurant. But I think once we opened, then we were we had quite large goals. Like we knew from the beginning we wanted to spread this, and we want to have a raw food revolution, and like really big things, big ideas. And my partners are very thinking in big perspectives a lot. Yeah, we were aiming quite high and thought, okay, we'll open another restaurant and another branch and keep growing and growing. And so we did have, but it was always just responding to what people were asking for, usually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. So let's sum up a little bit.
I have one more question.
Okay, there's one more from the audience there. Okay.
Yeah, I found really interesting that you guys had intention setting and then a little rituals that supported your goals step by step. Can you share a little more about those rituals and how you were doing it?
So the question is, he's very curious about these rituals that you were doing when you had your dreams and intentions. Maybe if you want to share a little bit more about those specific rituals and ceremonies.
Yeah, but I would love to. So this was, we included our children as well. We were, it was me and my ex-partner, and sometimes we had people visiting and they would join as well. And we were doing drumming and shakers, and then we would call in, make a, open the circle, call in light beings and helpers and guides, and then we would, beforehand we had written down about 5 goals each, and then we would take turns to say one goal out loud, and at the same time drumming, and then the other person would respond to that goal, and maybe new ideas would come up. He would just say like supportive things about that goal. Like, for example, I would say, I'm going to be a successful raw food restaurant person, and he would say, everybody loves your food. And I would be like, you know, those kinds of just whatever would come up in his thoughts, and I would do the same to him, and then at the same time we're drumming, and then it was just like 20 minutes of every day saying what we wanted and getting the support and hearing, as somebody else hearing what we wanted to create, and then every time we finished saying what our goal was, the other person would say, may it be so, or something even better, and then and then we would close the circle and put our goals on the altar, and probably that would lead to us doing something that day, like maybe calling somebody and getting the ball rolling on something. And I would also really genuinely feel like I hoped that his goals come true, and I would do everything I could to support that. And he's like one of the most successful sound healers now, and that's what he wanted. So yeah, I really believe it's working.
So I have a question for you. Do you have any, what is your dreams now, if you have an intention?
Yeah. Well, as I was working in Alchemy, I kind of slowly became like the kitchen was running by itself, and I was out of the kitchen doing a lot of other things, writing and working in an office, and I always felt like I belong in the kitchen. So now it's always, that's where I feel the best.
Oh, may it be so, or even better.
Yes. So yeah, I think mindful cooking, that's the class that I want to, that I feel like I feel most excited about.
People being present.
Yeah.
And their food making.
Yeah.
Peaceful and happy. Wishing the best for other people to take care of their food.
Exactly. Yeah.
Take part of their food.
Yeah.
Okay. May it be so. And even better. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, those. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question, Belle. And what can we say to sum this up? Yeah, a typically corporate career, creating a successful business, doing ceremonies and rituals. That's beautiful, and I love to see this, how things can, value can be shared and people be so benefited from this, just sharing what you're passionate about without having to use the old business tools and focusing on the financial targets as the main thing. That's what drives the business and makes it even survive. I know all these rules and belief systems and logics from business, and I question it pretty much everyone, and I find them not true. You don't need it to share great value with people and also receive money into your life in quite abundance. And that's why, this is very inspiring to hear, all these things, that I used to teach as a business coach or brand strategies about goal setting and how you have to achieve things and work with structure and things. And then seeing that, no, it doesn't have to be like that. It creates a lot of relaxation in me, and I hope in many others. So thank you so much for inspiring by just sharing, who you are and what you've done so far. And I love to see those dreams of you come true, or even better, actually. Who knows how that can be. So I hope we can do some more of this. If this works well for you guys, please give some feedback how this forum works for you, what we can do better. And I think we can record these things. We recorded this and we can post on Conscious Business Community. It's a Facebook page where you can get more inspiration or share inspiration. We're very happy to support anyone who's doing something great for the world and wants to do it in a different way than the old paradigm way of doing it. So we say thank you for today, and check out on Conscious Business Community Facebook page for the next one and the next event.